Hartbeespoortdam is bekend vir die verkeerde redes. Toksiese algae het veroorsaak dat die dam in 'n ekologiese ramp verander het. Nou, 'n onlangse navorsingsstudie dui daarop dat toksiese algae 'n verskeidenheid van gevare inhou, insluitende motoriese neuronsiekte.
Someone that has lived around a dam like Hartbeespoortdam, for example, for 20 years, 15, 20 years, may be predisposed to these types of disorders. And we're seeing increasing amounts of evidence from elsewhere in the world that suggests that environmental exposure to these, other than a genetic exposure, may predispose them towards motor neuron disease, Parkinson's, and these complexes of dementias.
What type of exposure and what type of toxins are in the algae?
At the moment, the exposure would be recreational exposure, water skiing, fishing, just swimming in the dams, that type. And we're not looking so much at drinking the water as opposed to actually coming into contact with it, breathing it in a nasal spray during skiing. All blue-green algae, all types of blue-green algae produce a toxin that is toxic to nerve cells. And this toxin has been known for a long time to be linked to damage in the brains and to this complex of dementias.
Blou-groen alg is die kragtigste natuurlike biologiese gifstof. Hierdie tabel wys die alge in groen gemerk uit as ver bo ander bekende gif soos cyaniet en strychnine. Kry genoeg daarvan in en dit sal jou doodmaak. As 'n dier so groot soos 'n renoster 'n groot sluk van die toksiese groen skuim in een hap vat, sal hy binne minute dood wees. Nodeloos om te sê, geld dieselfde vir die mens. What dams are affected with toxic algae growth in South Africa?
All of the dams in Gauteng are problematical and have been for some time. That is a regional hotspot. And if anything is done in the country, it needs to start there because that's the economic engine. East London, the Bridal Drift Dam on the Buffalo River has been problematic for many, many years. Everyone knows about the problems on the Ngani, the Doozy system, and the dams up there. Even in the Western Cape, we've got two dams that are marginally affected, Voelvlei and Theowaarders Kloof. They're progressively getting worse.
What would it take to kill off that algae?
The way to do this is to starve them of food to get a normal balance back in the system, that they grow in normal levels, but they don't outcompete everything else. So reduce the nutrients as close to source as possible. That's the cheapest place to do it. At the wastewater treatment works or in the home by bringing in a phosphate-free detergent.
Hierdie storie handel nie oor Bill Harding se navorsing en siektes nie. Wat ons wil uitvind is wat veroorsaak toksiese alge in Hartbeespoortdam en in baie ander damme in Suid-Afrika. Wel, een van die hoofoorsake is fosfate, 'n chemiese noodsaaklikheid vir plantgroei wat wyd in die landbou gebruik word. Nog 'n reuse bydra bestaan uit huishoudelike riool of swart water en grijswater, soos jou bad, skorrelgoed en wasmasjienwater. Die afvalwater vanuit ons wasmasjiene bevat reste van die waspoeiers wat ons gebruik. Waspoeiers wat fosfate bevat, wat verantwoordelik is vir soveel as 25 tot 30% van die fosfaatlading in ons damme en riviere en wat giftige blou-groen alggroei veroorsaak. Fosfate is 'n ander kwaadstoker wat ook verantwoordelik is vir die eutrofikasie van ons akwatiese ekosisteem. Nou, eutrofikasie is die verhoging van die konsentrasie plantvoedingsstowwe in 'n ekosisteem. Ek veronderstel mens kan dit vergelyk met iemand wat baie suiker in hulle dieet gebruik in 'n kort tydjie. So jy het 'n slank liggaam wat baie vinnig in 'n opgestopte monster verander. So nou het jy 'n oorgewig, baie ongesonde liggaam. Rioolwater en die afloop van landbouwater wat kunsmis bevat, is voorbeelde van mensgemaakte eutrofikasie. Dit lei tot oormatige plantgroei en verrotting wat die groei van alg bevoordeel bo ander meer komplekse plantspesies en 'n geweldige afname in watergehalte veroorsaak. What level of phosphates are needed to promote a toxic algae growth?
Almost nothing. We're talking in these cases of milligrams or grams of phosphorus. A wastewater effluent, for example, in a moderately well-operating plant will have 5 milligrams or so per liter of phosphorus in the water. In a river, we see damage starting at a level of about 20 micrograms. We start to see ecosystem change. In South African dams, we know that there's a threshold that they cross around 50 micrograms per liter of phosphorus in the water. They start to then become increasingly problematic in that the frequency of problem algal bloom starts to increase.
There are dams that I think we have to put and keep on at a watch, a very close full watch indeed, because it is really becoming quite problematic if we leave it that way. And I think this is actually something that worries us, concerns us as government, and we do indeed think that it is necessary to really begin to put a very, very watchful eye, and even in terms of thinking about some of the steps that may have to be taken.
Daar is gemiddeld 11 miljoen huishoudings in Suid-Afrika volgens Statistiek Suid-Afrika se laaste sensus in 2001. Nou dis nie onredelik om te spekuleer dat elkeen van hierdie huishoudings ten minste 1 keer per week wasgoed was nie. Asof dit nie genoeg is nie, gebruik elke huishouding ten minste 1 koppie skoonmaakmiddel per was. Dit beteken dat daar ongeveer 11 miljoen koppies waspoeier in die omgewing vrygelaat word elke week. 'n Koppie waspoeier weeg omtrent 150 gram. Die gekombineerde gewig van daardie 11 miljoen koppies is 'n verstommende 1,65 miljoen kilogram. Om dit in perspektief te stel, dis min of meer die gewig van 220 olifante. Om elke week jou wasgoed te was kan 'n pyn wees, maar dit is 'n noodsaaklikheid. Ons klere word nou maar eenvoudig net vuil en dit moet skoongemaak word. En die verskeidenheid seeppoeiers wat beskikbaar is oorweldigend. Daar's iets om ons witter klere witter te maak, ons gekleerdes helderder. Ons het 'n opsie van vlekverwyderaars, gegeurdes, handwas-seeppoeiers en die lys gaan aan en aan. Een ding wat min van ons doen wanneer ons waspoeier koop, is om te kyk hoe omgewingsvriendelik dit is. Ons skep die aanbevole hoeveelheid daarvan uit in ons wasmasjiene en skakel aan. Maar wat gebeur volgende? Wat is dit in die waspoeier wat ons klere skoonmaak en vlekke verwyder?
A detergent washing powder or washing powder is made up of a number of different ingredients. So first of all, the most important one is things like surfactants. These are the main cleaning ingredients in our washing powders. Then we have things called builders. These are ingredients which help soften the water. Then we have obviously within the formulation things that we structure the detergent powder. So we need to give the powder structure. We need to give an environment for those sort of surfactants and builders to work. The role of a phosphate is what we call a builder, which generally softens the water. It makes the water an environment in which the detergent can actively work and be more effective.
What is the phosphate content of an average washing powder?
Some manufacturers could actually have about 6% phosphate in their washing powder.
Nou as ons gaan somme maak, beteken dit dat op enige gegeewe week ons 115.500 kilogram fosfate uit waspoeiers in die omgewing vrylaat. Soveel soos die gewig van 14 olifante saam. Is the scenario we are portraying regarding the phosphate content of our water supplies a viable one?
I think it's completely viable. I think it's probably a conservative underestimate of the total use of detergents in South Africa on a weekly basis. A dam like Hartbeespoort Dam, for example, gets about 165 tons of phosphorus a year from wastewater. The dam itself could probably cope with about 50.
Kom ons volg nou 'n koppie waspoeier, gelaai met fosfate van die wasmasjien tot in die omgewing. Dit is jou bydrae tot die besoedeling van ons water. Die waspoeier los op in die masjien en die fosfate help om die vlekke van jou klere te verwyder. Die masjien gaan in sy tolsiklus in en die afvalwater gaan af in die drein en in die afvalwaterstelsel van jou stad of dorp in en beland in jou plaaslike rioolwerke. Dit is hier waar die fosfate uit die water verwyder moet word, maar vanweë die treurige toestand van die meeste van ons afvalwaterverwerkingsaanlegte gebeur dit nie. What is happening to the phosphates if they are not being removed at the sewage treatment plants?
They're accumulating in the environment, or they're either washing through the dams, but what stays behind then fuels these big blooms of algae. Removing phosphorus from detergents would remove 25, perhaps more % of the total load already going into the wastewater treatment works.
Die grootste bydrae van fosfate tot ons water is sonder twyfel huishoudelike afval van munisipaliteite in die vorm van swart en grys water. Daar is natuurlik ander bydraers, byvoorbeeld landbou. En fosfate speel 'n kritiese rol in die groeiproses van alle gewasse.
Fosfaat is een van die kritiese elemente om plante te groei. Dit is baie belangrik dat ons boere dit op 'n verantwoordelike manier gebruik. Waar fosfate uit die landbou in die waterbronne kan beland is wanneer ons mengsels opmaak by ons tanks en skoonmaakmiddels en pakhuise ensovoorts waar dit reeds in die vrywater is wat op die oppervlakte loop tot in jou damme in.
The agricultural component is not the same as we see in other countries, in European countries. And that's got a lot to do with our climate. A lot of our irrigation in this country is dryland irrigation, it's rainfall. In certain areas where you have intensive irrigation applied, there is a contribution there from fertilizers. but it's nowhere near the contribution percentages that we see in other wetter countries. Industry also contributes. That mostly goes into the sewer system along with domestic.
Die fosfate van jou huishouding saam met miljoene ander het katastrofiese gevolge wanneer dit in ons riviere en damme vrygelaat word. Maar jy moet tog jou klere was en jy gee om vir die omgewing. So wat is die oplossing? Die oplossing blyk voor die hand liggend te wees. Verwyder fosfate uit waspoeiers. Maar hoe sal dit die omgewing help?
The immediate impact would be that the water treatment plants would on that day have 25% on average less phosphorus to manage. The impact in the environment would take much longer to observe, because if you understand that these dams have all been receiving these uncontrolled loads of waste for decades, it's going to take a while for that to work out of their system. We estimate about 15 years before you would start to see a really sustained turnaround.
Are we leaving it too late to address the issue of phosphates in our water supplies?
Absolutely. It's already way too late. This should have been done years ago. The problems are going to get worse. We're going to have more algae, more toxins. It's just going to burgeon and grow.
How does our legislation compare to international trends?
Abysmally. We don't really have legislation for this.
We actually currently don't have a law that really stops the increase of phosphates into our waters. But it is something that really requires us to keep a watchful eye on. It is a necessary thing to begin to look at policy in that direction.
Unilever se markandeel van waspoeiers in Suid-Afrika is groter as 80%. En ons wou van hulle weet waarom hulle nie in tred is met internasionale tendense nie.
First of all, I think it's really important for me to explain where we come from in Unilever. So in Unilever, we have an ambition to double the size of our business and at the same time to reduce our environmental impact of our business. And to do that, we've written up what we call the Unilever Sustainability Living Plan. And in that plan, we have a number of things to achieve. One's about how we reduce our waste, how we reduce our impact on water, and the other one really important is how we reduce our greenhouse gas contribution. And recently, different metrics we've used, we've actually replaced phosphate with other alternative builders which have lower greenhouse gas contribution. So what we've done is replaced our phosphate detergent to reduce the environmental greenhouse gas contribution from our washing powders. So as a result of that, the majority of our washing powders do not contain phosphate. However, obviously there are other manufacturers who do still contain phosphate.
And you replace it with?
We replaced with an alternative builder, and that builder is carbonate.
I was in the supermarket the other day and I actually saw only one washing powder that said phosphate-free in the entire row of washing powders.
Okay, so when I say that the majority of washing powders do not contain phosphate, they do not contain phosphate. But what many manufacturers do not do is make the claim phosphate-free. So it's not a claim that is made in the marketplace.
But why?
Well, the main reason is many of us don't actually make many of our purchase decisions based on environmental or sustainability reasons.
Ons het intensiewe navorsing gedoen oor hierdie program. Ek het met een van die wêreldspesialiste in fosfate gepraat, Dr. Bill Harding, oor die fosfate in ons waspoeiers. Maar Ras Plumley, wat een van die grootste maatskappye in Suid-Afrika verteenwoordig wat waspoeiers vervaardig, sê vir ons daar's geen fosfate in hulle waspoeiers nie. Ek is de mekaar. Ons gaan verseker meer duidelikheid rondom hierdie probleem nodig hê.
Isn't it interesting that the largest manufacturer of washing powders say that they've removed phosphates from their washing powders, but they did it without making a big announcement about it, especially when this has such a huge positive impact on